All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook on this midweek after the Waste Management. Harry Mays, Danielle Matthews, good morning to you both. Harry, how are we doing?
Oh, we're doing great.
Ready to rock here?
Ready to rock for the Genesis and talk about the Golf Association of Philadelphia.
That's right. Yes. Danielle, welcome in.
Thank you. How was your trip, Moose?
It was good. Good to be back. But yes, as Harry mentioned, we are talking about GAP, and we are lucky to be joined by Ken Phillips, GAP's 35th president. Congratulations, Ken, and welcome to Swing It and Ding It.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit before we hopped on, but give us a little bit of your background, a little bit of your history. We know you're out in the Lancaster area, but talk about kind of your golf journey that got you from caddying at Lancaster Country Club at 10 years old to now.
Back then, there were no child labor laws. So my father was a laborer, and he worked night shift, and they were looking for some caddies in Lancaster. So he went over there, and I was probably maybe 7 or 8 at the time. My brother, who just retired from Lehigh Country Club, was the head golf professional for 37 years, Wayne Phillips. Dad got us into caddying. So we started when I was 10. And then I worked the bag room and caddied and worked in the pro shop and then worked on the course. Wayne worked on the course pretty much all through high school and college. And then he went the golf route. I decided to stay the amateur route. He was much better than I was. And he became a very successful club pro all his life in the Philly section. But I then joined 1986. Lancaster. I was fortunate to join. Was president in 2001. So went from caddy to president, but no big thing. But I think the big thing is just caddying really opens up so many doors to everybody, right? That's why Platt is so successful for us.
Yeah.
We get to help children make it to the next level, which is nice.
Yeah, can talk a little bit about that program and caddying and how the GAP is involved with mentoring and kind of how you have a personal touch with your life experience with that.
Sure, Daniel. Platt is headed up by Tina Greger. Okay, Mark Peterson, still the exec director. They have their own board. And they started something new this year. Besides just caddy scholarships, we give out about on average $800, I think, a student for the year. Wow. They also started giving scholarships last year, and they're going to do it now more full time to those kids who don't caddy, but maybe work in the bag room or work in outside operations and in carts. And so trying to open it up a little bit because there's only roughly maybe 50 clubs who have caddy programs. Okay. We now have 350 clubs because of the expansion of the Allied Golf Associations. And so we gave our first scholarships out this past year. They did a trial basis, and kids from Frosty Valley up in the Anthracite region, and other kids really got some nice money for college. And so we're gonna expand that. We're also going to do something very similar through our foundation, where we're going to be helping public facilities, okay? Because half of our courses are public courses, roughly 150, 60 public and 150, 60, 70, whatever private. We're going to be doing the exact same thing and funding it through the foundation. So very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome how it's expanded into, like you said, the bag room, maybe the pro shop, everything like that. So it's not just isolated to caddies. You're getting all the youth involved, no matter what their area of interest. That's awesome.
The key is touching everything, right? Everything golf related. So
now you brought up your brother Wayne, who recently retired up at Lehigh as the head pro, and you were very modest about your game compared to him. But I understand that you're a member of 3 Hall of Fames. Let's talk about that.
Well, I guess it's no. The High School Hall of Fame. I had some success in high school at various different sports. Golf being one of them. Did well in some of the state championships. College Hall of Fame. I went to a really small school because I did not want to go the golf pro route like my brother did. So I went to a small school by the name of Davis and Elkins College out of West Virginia. We played D3 and also NAIA back at the time. And I had some success there as well. Made some academic All-Americans the last 2 years and won a bunch of things. And then we have our local Lancaster Golf Association, which is really a great golf association. You know, we have GAP, obviously, which is huge. Lanco runs all the events here in Lancaster County, and they're very progressive. Some of us have served on that board, and I think that's really, you know, we've taken the experience from either PA Golf or Golf Association of Philadelphia and USGA, and we brought it all there. And so I've had the chance to do fairly well on some of those events, so it made that whole thing as well. So very, very proud, very happy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
So
very
talk
cool.
about, obviously you're the 35th president now, but you've been involved with the Golf Association of Philadelphia for years, right? Starting out as a board member and then in the VP role. Just talk about that, starting there and what kept you interested in continuing to grow in that with the association.
Sure. I served 10 years on the PA Golf Association, and that sort of got me started. Okay.
Yeah.
Got to know the guys, obviously, was president of PA Golf. And then I think I was started in 07 maybe, or I've been on 7-8 years. So it would have been like 17. I think I started on Golf Association of Philadelphia, and was selected to be in the officer role. And just watched it grow. I mean, when we went from 30,000 members, 115 clubs, and then USGA started the Allied Golf Associations, which was 57 in the country. And we're one of the largest geographical, I think. All of a sudden we exploded, right? 110,000 members, 350 some clubs.
Wow.
It is an unbelievable organization. 27 employees. They're all team members. I met with every one of them the day after I became president. And I said, okay, you know, what are we going to do? And I really believe in inclusion and giving people the opportunity to really use their professionalism and expand. And so the big question for us is, how do you serve 110,000 people? You know, we have about 10,000 who play in our championships. Obviously, we're very proud of our championships. 1897, we started, you know, the oldest allied golf, well, oldest state or regional golf association in the country. But how do you serve the 100,000? You know, and you can be a member. You can, if you're a member, you have your gin handicap, you get Golf Digest, you get the Gap magazine, you have the ability to play in all the play days, you have the ability to play in all the tournaments. But, you know, we don't have a lot of net tournaments. And so one of the things is, how do you partner, you know, with some other groups to maybe do that? But it's really exciting because the committees and the directors, the individual directors, never stop trying to get better. You know, we have a saying at GAP: constant improvement. How do you constantly improve your podcast? You know, you're looking at it all the time, right? So we're doing the same thing. And so the big goal, one of my big goals, is how do you continue to try to serve the 100,000 the same way you serve the 10,000? And so we have some good ideas. We have some new programs coming up, which I think are going to be really, really good. Our youth and courses exploded. Our youth and courses, children up to the age of 18, we have about 40 some courses that participate, can play for $5. And then GAP subsidizes the course up to, I think, $7. And we have, you know, 4,500 members now, kids. Well, 4 or 5 years ago, we had 300. So it's phenomenal. And we pay for that. And we're starting a big program for adaptive golf. Okay. The USGA just started an adaptive championship. So we have that big push beginning in 2024. I think our goal is to be the biggest and best with adaptive golf. And we have some tremendous people behind it. So very excited for that.
That's amazing. So many great changes coming. My household has been a fan of Gap for a very long time.
Thank you.
And just the progression and changes we see year after year has been incredible. But I did notice that is new for 2024 is some of the majors. So if you want to talk through maybe the Mid-Am and the Patterson Cup, how they're expanding from 36 to 54, let's touch on that.
Mainly it's world ranking point. We're trying to give our players the ability to earn some points, the world ranking points. And so there was a lot of discussion. Cannot do anything but thank the clubs for giving us the opportunity to do that. So the tournaments are going to be still over the same days, but we'll be having a cut down, I think, to 40 or 50 after the first day. And then they'll be doing 36. So again,
opportunity for those world amateur golf ranking points. That's pretty awesome. Now having three majors.
Yes. We have some great players, right? We have great players in Gap. And so it gives them the opportunity to, do that. And we also now have an exemption. I think the amateur champion gets an exemption into the U.S. amateur, I believe.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And so, thanks to the USGA for working with groups like us, their job is to run championships, and we're basically the arm to help them do that. So a lot of good things. I think the players who play in our championships will be very happy, with some of the adjustments. We're always looking to expand. So sounds like a tournament Jupiter, Daniel, I think. So.
It's welcomed here. Let me know how I can help.
Well, now you're out of Lancaster Country Club, and of course they're going to be hosting their second U.S. Women's Open coming up here in 2024. But let's go back to the last time where you were responsible for organizing all the volunteers, and I think they had upwards to 900 plus volunteers. What was that undertaking all about?
We had a good friend of mine, King Knotts. He and I headed up the marshals, which about 900. There were about 2,500 volunteers. It was an unbelievable tournament in 2015. The most, as the USGA measures it by people leaving the grounds, filling out questionnaires, the most successful tournament in any USGA event, 94.5%. And it was an amazing experience, probably one of my best ever in golf. A lot of work, but we created a system that actually the USGA sort of uses now. It was we had area captains, we had captains of holes, and we had so many people who really crave golf, who really in our area, we don't have a lot of big events. This year we have the cricket club has the 4-ball, men's 4-ball, which is great. And we have then obviously the Ladies Open, but it was a great experience. This year they have 600 people on a waiting list to volunteer.
Wow.
Yeah, they had 2,500 people signed up in 15 within 35 days.
That's tremendous.
So, it's no wonder they're coming back, right? Plus it's a good course. It's a great course for ladies. I don't think we can hold a men's event. It's just too short. But I think for the ladies, it's just a fantastic event. So,
maybe after the rollback, you guys will be able to host it there.
Yeah, maybe. So I'm involved this year. I'm going to take the week, but we turned over the Marshall chairs to two of our friends who are going to be what they call area captains in charge of 4 holes. So
nice.
That's
awesome.
So Ken, you take over, right? Oscar was in that role. He was very visible, right? If we see him in Inside Golf, you said you meet with all the people. What is your kind of short-term vision or long-term vision really for when you say, all right, I'm taking over here. Here's a couple things that I really want to take us to the next level. Like, what are those key things for you moving forward?
Well, I don't need a caddy for Oscar anymore because I used to caddy for him. He's so good. He's a great better ball partner. But I think I go back to the word inclusion. And how can you include all the members of GAP to get some type of experience? So with the programs of expanding golf in schools, expanding youth on course, expanding our women's championship, the adaptive thing, those are things that I think are very important for us. Our foundation, we're going to start to do a lot of work with our foundation. The other thing that's important for me, and having a brother who was a pro, right? I sort of know that side of the business a little bit. Is we've already met with Jeff Surratt and Chip Richter, who's the incoming president from Philly PGA, because these adaptive programs, we're going to be in essence hiring pros to be the instructors. So we have 14 dates on the calendar so far for adaptive golf, where we are going to a club or going to a facility that has a practice facility, and we're going to be giving instruction for 2 hours free, doesn't cost anybody anything. So it's things like that of just trying to get a little better every day, like we all try to do in our jobs, and realizing I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I'm willing to try something. And if it doesn't work, we just reevaluate. That's okay. You learn by failure, right? Yeah. So I think that's something GAP's been very successful in, a lot of good things that they have done. And I think it's just a matter of expanding that, and how do we continue the progress that all the boards and presidents and admin people before us have really brought to the table, because every year they do get better. And so my goal is not to screw it up.
Doing a pretty good job so far.
Oh, nice.
Well, you're actually the second president of GAP from the Lancaster area. Is that correct? I mean, it was Dan. Was it Dan Burton back in 06 to 08, and was quite a mentor of yours. What did you learn from Dan?
Dan's probably the best that I've seen. He is my mentor. He and I were business partners for 38 years. Never had a crossword. And he's retired, but I will be leaning on him a lot for just, bouncing things off him. He has held roles at the highest level. So he was always very forward thinking. How do we get better 3-4 years from now? What is our 5-year plan? Where do we go? So he's going to be a very strong influence, I think, on my leadership. We're partners, business partners for 38 years, so we're sort of alike a lot. And he's a pretty good golf partner too. So,
Ken, we like to stay true to our roots and keep it Philly when we have guests on the show. So we'd like to ask you your favorite Philadelphia area course.
Come on.
We'll let you give two. We'll let you say two. It's fine.
Wow. Well, I think if you're looking at facilities, Philly Cricket probably has 2 tremendous golf courses in terms of, if you're looking for a 36-hole facility, right? Tremendous. Saucon Valley, the best 54-hole event,
I grew up there, yeah.
In the country. It really is.
Yeah.
So if I was living closer to Philly, those are probably, ones I would look at. But people ask me this all the time. If you had one course to play the rest of your life, it'd be Lancaster.
Of course.
Absolutely.
It's home. Yeah.
It is.
Right.
I think besides Shinnecock, I think it's the best Flint course out there. I really do.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to come out and see it. I did get an invite last year. I forget who invited me out there, but I wasn't able to go.
Well, this looks like a foursome to me. So you're all invited.
We're in.
There we go.
Harry has my contact information. We'll we'll do it after the Open. Okay.
All right.
We'll do it after the Open. So
the day after, so we play in condition.
Right.
And I do follow up on my promises. So as long as Harry reaches out, and now Harry doesn't reach out to me.
No, Harry will reach out.
That's on Harry.
That's on
Harry.
Harry will reach out. We know that.
That'd be fun.
Awesome.
We appreciate it, Ken. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Looking forward to see, I love how progressive GAP is, right? The association with the Amateur Golf Society with Dan Hirschberg, right? Things like that, that, all right, these folks are leaning in and they're, expand. We're not going to say we're not going to say grow the game. Thank you for not saying it. We're not going to say that. We're not going to say that catchphrase.
We'll leave that to live.
That's right. But continued success, Ken, and we look forward to having you back on a little bit deeper into your tenure here and see how things are going.
I love that. And we'll have a date later this summer.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have Ryan Gano join us to talk about the madness that was waste management. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Great to talk to Ken Phillips, GAP's 35th president. So we go from, Ken Phillips in the Golf Association of Philadelphia to Ryan Gano from All Access to talk about the madness that was Waste Management. First of
Wasted
all,
management.
Still
Yeah.
hydrating.
listen, I was there last year. It's a party. We know that. But it seemed to take a little bit of an extra. And you would have, like, to me, you would have thought it would have been last year when the Super Bowl was there. But
Right.
Ryan, how many people did you have there, first of all, with you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I don't have the exact number, but just sub 3,000.
Wow.
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 Yeah, I mean, it's a big event for us. We've got a lot of clients that love it. It's usually it's a really cool escape for us cold weather folks to go out to the desert.
Yeah.
Enjoy the fun and sun.
It was actually warmer
You
here.
got like one day of sun, right?
Well, the sun, yeah, it was out, but I was still like, layered up and beanies on. It was definitely nicer here in the Philly area than it was out there. But
Yeah.
it was, I mean, the rain was intense. There was hail. There was thunder and lightning overnight one night. And I think this is year 12 for me. And
Wow.
I've never experienced any weather like that at all.
Hmm.
It's
So
really-
the Thunderbirds come out this morning and say that changes are going to be made. Walk us through the feeling on Saturday, right? How much were you? I know you're kind of occupied. You have people that you're entertaining, but when they kind of shut it down, even to people who had tickets who couldn't get in after 2:00 on Saturday, then they shut the bars down. Walk us through that scene on Saturday.
Yeah, so I think what people have to kind of understand of what happened this week, and I appreciate and applaud the Thunderbirds, a lot of good buddies over there, coming out and saying all the right things. But I think when you put together the entirety of the event and what kind of went down, it's really easy to see why things got out of control. So number one, 6 days worth of partying happened in 2.5 days, because those were the only 2.5 days that you
Right.
weren't just getting an absolute deluge. I mean, there was flooding. There were like parts of the roads were like starting to sinkhole, out and around the area. I mean, it was bad. Like the weather was really, really intense. So you've got 6 days worth of partying condensed in 2.5 days. So I think that's number one. Number two, I don't know what happened at the front gate, but they just let anybody in. I don't know if they were overwhelmed with the amount of people that said, "Hey, I was supposed to come Thursday, I got rained out."
Right.
Let me in. I don't know.
I didn't even think
What I
of
do know is, so the gate that we always enter is from the Fairmont Princess Hotel, which is on the backside of the golf course. You enter right around the 5th tee. And that was normal. It wasn't overrun. It wasn't crazy. But rumor has it that they just damn near let anybody in.
Yeah.
And I think that they got overwhelmed. It finally just turned into like here you go, just walk on.
Third base coach, like,
Yeah,
Right.
seriously, winding people in, like just keep going. And, we're not looking to see if you have a ticket or not. So that was obviously a factor, because my guess is, and I don't know this for a fact, but just
Mhm.
based on being there for so long, if there was an extra 15 or 20,000 people on the golf course, that could be a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They know how many tickets they sold, so that's not like a surprise. It was the people that didn't have tickets that was a surprise. But then the last factor, and I don't know if anybody's talked about this yet, but it was something that was very, very clear to me being there, is this golf course is very up and down. A lot of hills and undulations around the green complexes. Even fairways are kind of, have some slope to it. And with the amount of rain, and you saw the videos of the mud, like I know people are using it as a slide for fun. Like that.
Yes.
I don't know who this guy is, but God bless him. The big fat guy that slid down and everybody was like,
Belly first.
it was pretty insane. But you couldn't walk in so many areas on the golf course. So what ends up happening is everybody's now just trying to fit on the cart.
Congregating.
So you have the largest attended sporting or golf tournament in the world. You have too many extra people that shouldn't have been there. And then you have them all being condensed into like this tight little like funnel. And that created the madness. So I don't necessarily know if anything needs to change. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
it's always
it was-
been a party. It's always been intense. It was a combination of the weather,
Yeah.
people just like the one day it was nice, let's get after it kind of thing. And then these additional, so maybe bulking up the security of how people are getting onto the tournament. I mean, can you imagine somebody walking into the Super Bowl? That never would be a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Tightening that up, obviously, if they're going to do changes, it's that. But like for us, we were in the skyboxes on 16. They
Mhm.
didn't stop serving booze up there.
Did
They-
not.
No, they did not. And they did not stop, allowing people with the proper credentials to come up into the skyboxes. So it candidly didn't really affect us. But man, it was. It's always a bit of a. I don't know if I'm allowed to say a show. It's always a bit of a show. We'll say. But this year was pretty intense.
See, that's why if you're gonna go, you got to go all access because you don't get denied liquor when they shut it down.
Into the party.
Right?
Exactly.
Greatest sales pitch I could ever use. You know what? If they cut you off, they're not going to cut us off.
Exactly.
No, it's like, and truth be told, the Thunderbirds do a brilliant job. The facilities are amazing. The logistics are fantastic. It is a great event. I hate hearing Billy Horschel yell at a crowd. I hate.
He does that everywhere.
I know, and Zach Johnson being mad.
Zach Johnson.
What's he doing with his hands? He's doing
And those two are
crazy
paired
things with his
together.
hands.
Well, that's what I want to ask. So you said you've been going 12 years. Zach Johnson, he said 21st year. Billy Horschel's been going since 2013. Now you said we weren't affected. I want to know about the players because Billy Horschel was on No Laying Up podcast. I gave that a listen, and him and Zach Johnson, as you both mentioned, they were paired together both the first two rounds. And they were like, this was the first year that it was completely out of hand. And Billy Horschel, I thought this was kind of funny. He goes, I want the media to go and like find, hey, Harry May's the heckler, and I'm going to find him and I'm going to come 3 months down the road, and I'm going to come to Harry's sales pitch or his meeting or whatever. And I'm just going to start heckling him. I'm going to start saying stuff about his childhood, about his parents, about his car, about this or that. And they're like, I want to see how these guys would, they're like, that's what it is. So like NFL Stadium, you're not hearing it. Baseball, maybe a little bit. Like I've been to some college hoops games, some college baseball games where you hear some stuff and you're like, oh my goodness, that's crossing the line. And I heard that a lot of that was crossed the line with the players this week. So I want to know, did you hear any of that? And do you think there was some like habitual line crossing in terms
and was it all Zach Johnson related?
Zach Johnson and Billy Horschel. Yeah.
I've been on here enough to know that I don't really bite my tongue. So I'm going to try very, very hard not to get myself in trouble here. First and foremost, I really like Billy Horschel. I think he's kind of cool. He's got a vibe to him, but that is such an insane level of douche to me.
Yeah.
Like, come heckle me. Let me trade your paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You play in a sport that's an individual sport that has made you world famous, that has made you millions and millions and millions of dollars. When LeBron misses a free throw, he gets heckled. He may not hear it as much as you, and I get that because golf is a little bit more of a Lonely Island type of vibe. But I got heckled in high school. I got heckled through college. I mean, hell, I get heckled on my sales floor here.
I was one of those hecklers in high school.
Yeah, perfect. Big fan. So, but the point being, though, is that, like, if you can't stomach getting heckled, is he ever going to be able to play in a Ryder Cup? Because I've been to the Ryder Cup overseas, and they go hard at our players.
Yeah.
Would you think Tiger would be affected? Tiger's so focused and locked in. Do you think LeBron hears the boos? My father-in-law, who refereed in the NHL for 1,000 years, he's had 20,000 people chant "Fraser sucks." And did he cry about it?
The great Kerry Fraser, Harry.
Yeah.
Things have to change.
Kerry Fraser, the father-in-law. I mean, literally every arena in the country has chanted "Fraser sucks."
Yeah.
And he doesn't
great
cry
point.
about it afterwards. It's your freaking job. Suck it up. And
Tiger's dad used to jingle change and try to distract him in every way possible, and just so like he wasn't affected. So you made a lot of great points in that, like, hey, I'll trade paychecks and you can come yell at me while I'm doing my job.
Your skill set, you can come be a salesman here, and we're good to go. It's totally fine. But the other part of it, though, is that was it more intense potentially this year? Yes. Were people's antennas up a little bit more this year? Yes. But I'm telling you, if they woke up and it was 75 and sunny, and the players weren't, playing extra holes and playing through the freezing cold and the rain, would everybody been a little bit happier? So, like, to me, it was kind of that perfect storm of annoyance. Like, I was annoyed. I was freezing. I got a pair of my Travis Scott golf shoes really dirty. I was pissed off by it.
Oh man, Ryan and his shoes, boy.
It was a real thing, guys. I literally got into the skybox and asked. I was like, "Does anybody have a rag?" I went to the bartender. Can I borrow your rag to clean my shoes?
Well, listen, what we could do is I could get you a pair of Sun Day Reds.
3 words.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 words.
Too soon for me. Still can't. Not okay with it. But so anyhow, so I didn't notice anything more egregious on the 16th hole, the amount of boos, the amount of heckling, the amount of applause, the amount of like great shot, shitty shot, all of that was pretty on par with how it's been. But what I think that people are forgetting is that this is why you come to this event.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is very, very good for golf.
Mhm.
I heard the president of the Gap that you had on before talking about the inclusion of golf and getting new people into golf. This event does that in triplicate. Now, does some of the people cross the line? Can some people not handle their booze? Sure. But don't tell me that there weren't fights in every NFL football game this year.
Yeah.
That weren't people getting sloppy and falling down at all kinds
Snowballs
of
thrown.
I also think that cell phone cameras are so good and the audio and video is so good and everyone has theirs out that you're just seeing more and more of this stuff.
I will say on my flight home, and I leave every year Sunday morning. I feel like if I stay one more day, I might die. So
takes years off your life.
It does. I'd say I had hair and no gray before I started the Pheonix Open. But on the way home, I was on social media and I was seeing all these videos, and I thought it was hysterical. And the fact that we're still talking about the Pheonix Open several days after it's over, it's not the worst thing for golf. So I love the event. I do think some changes are needed. I don't think it was terribly different than what I've experienced in the last decade.
I will say one thing for Harry, Kiz and Smiley, give me more. Those guys calling shots on 16. Yeah. I mean, for us at home who weren't there, give me some more.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with a guy that I'm not allowed to probably say who it is. And he was asking me some questions about what would I do. And I jokingly say, when I'm commissioner of the PGA Tour, I would do this. But one thing that really has me thinking, if anybody wants to steal my idea, I'm all for it. PGA Tour. The Manning cast on Monday Night Football versus the normal Monday Night Football. It's brilliant. I don't watch all of it, but I always go to it. They should mic up players, caddies, and they should have a separate channel that, only adults watch because there's going to be some bad words and stuff. But to hear the interaction, like we had dinner. Seamus Powers, a good friend of the company, and one of the guys who works here grew up with them, and their caddy Simon, and they came to dinner with us one night. And just hearing the back and forth is brilliant. Yeah. But can you imagine miking up Justin Thomas for the week and the amount of gold how much fun it would be to listen to? So I think the PGA Tour.
They did that on the PGA Tour Americas this past week. I'll send you guys a link, and it was pretty good. There's some funny caddies out there. Some of those players are a little more nonchalant, maybe a little more free with their vocabulary and select.
Yes. But it'd be really watchable,
so
right?
it is. It's entertaining. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you make some great points, Ryan, about the WM Pheonix Open, and I agree with that it was the perfect storm, and maybe they need to tighten it up a little bit, but it really is. That's why it's a bucket list item, and that's why you're taking 3,000 guests out there, because that they want to be a part of that party. But I will say, for Billy Horschel, I witnessed it firsthand at the Wilmington Country Club at the BMW a few years ago, standing in the grandstand above the 9th green. And a fan to my right asked Billy an innocuous question. It wasn't a heckle. He asked him something. And Billy said the exact same thing to him. He looked right up at him and he said, "Shut the F up." And I was taken aback by it, because I'm like, Jesus. So I think he does this everywhere he goes.
It just happened to be caught by 30,000 people.
Right.
Well, he said on No Laying Up, he said that on, I think it was like hole 6 or something. He's like, it's so quiet out there. And he's like, I didn't really hear anything. And then one guy goes, "Hey, you're going to hit this in the right bunker." And he turns around and goes, "Why would you say something like that?" Whatever. And the guy just was quiet. He goes, "And then I turned around and striped it down the middle of the fairway." He's like, and then turned around and goes, "Is that the middle? Is that the right bunker?" So but he's like sharing this. So you can tell he's kind of like, one of those guys who's like, "Oh, you want to say something? I'm going to say something."
But
like Harry said, like, how does that help?
Yeah.
But you also know, Billy, if I'm your PR guy, just shut up. Don't engage the fans, and they'll start leaving you alone. You realize that now you have a target.
You get a rise.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to keep poking the bear.
If Bryce Harper is going up to bat and some fan from the other team is screaming, "Strike out, Harper, you suck," and he turns around and says, "Shut up, I'm trying to do my job,"
or hits a home run, turns around and goes, "Is that a strikeout?"
Yeah, don't engage that. Like you be better than that. Like it boggles my mind.
But
we
he
were out
does
there.
say, I'm going to continue to come back. I do, although it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I love the atmosphere and I'll continue to come back. It's like, do you? Do you love it?
Well, so then don't make yourself look. It's I think it's silly. If you want to engage fans, you can engage and disarm people very, very quickly. Did you see what Jordan Spieth happened with him? He was standing on the first tee.
Funny.
Somebody said, like, show this hole. Who's like said something to
Make
him.
this hole your
Like this one or
and
something.
a little smile,
And
smile.
he tried to compose himself. Well, instead of saying, "Shh, I'm focused," like leave me alone, I'm at work. He looked up and kind of gave him a smile, like, "Yeah, that's actually kind of funny."
Yeah.
And then everything's
That's
good.
the thing. You humanize it. Like
Right.
we're humans. Like some stuff is funny. Acknowledge it. Don't get so upset. Like
if
it's
you're
that
making-
atmosphere. You expect it when you're going there. It's just like if you're at the bear trap at the Honda.
Right.
You know that
That's
people
insane.
are wild. You know
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy. You know it's going to be loud. Like, and the waste management's another level. Like you know it's going to be crazy.
Right, but think about how many other athletes. Zach Gallen, South Jersey boy, good buddy, who's a pitcher for the Diamondbacks. We were talking about it while we were there. He said, every time he throws a pitch, there's 35,000 people or 40,000 or 50,000, depending on how big the venue is, right, is screaming out.
Oh yeah.
But if you're a professional athlete that gets paid the amount of money that these guys do,
It's part of the
job
deal.
is to block it out.
Deal with it.
Heck, I have a sales floor of 15 guys out there, super loud. If all of them got pissed off because there was noise happening next to them, it's your job. Figure it out.
Yeah.
So funny. We played golf this past week and Brandon was doing something while I'm over the ball. And I'm like, it's very distracting when I'm trying to tee off and all this is happening. He's like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, we're at Turtle. Nobody's around. It's him. And it's just me. And I'm just like, you're distracting me. And he's like, you have no idea. And I'm like,
hold on. There is something to be said, though. If it's perfect silence.
Yes.
And then like on your downswing or something, and then a noise happens.
Right.
But
Especially if you hit a bad shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then you have something to blame it on.
Right.
So it's
That's what
almost
John
like
Rahm
sometimes
does
you
all
want
the
that
time.
sound because then you're like, I hit that bag because you were, fumbling around the
look,
cart.
anytime you can build in an excuse, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, listen, we know you had popped in real quick. We appreciate it, but
No
we
worries.
see the logo on the new
Yes.
shirt. Talk about what's going on with the company real quick.
Well, first off, I was a little bit offended. This is the first time that I've actually worn the new logo. And a couple people in the office when I walked in were like, is it bad that I actually like this one better than our actual logo? So it started off bad. We launched All Access Ireland January 1st.
Awesome.
And for some of the press releases and some of the stuff and all of our folks and boots on ground in Ireland as they're welcoming groups in to go play golf. We wanted to do something that just screamed Ireland. And that All Access has now integrated ourselves over there. So we came up with a logo. So we replaced the keyhole with the shamrock. I know it's a little Boston Celtic-y.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a sea shirt at first, but it's
First,
cool
I thought it was
together.
due process, but then I didn't see the horse head.
Everybody that's got green in a shamrock, I know it feels like that because it's green in a
But
shamrock.
that's cool though. That looks
when
really
you combine
cool.
it with that, it's pretty neat. So
Oh yeah.
it's just it's our way. As we're expanding and growing as a business, it was really important for us to actually have real representation in GB&I. A lot of the companies here in the States that sell golf trips overseas rely on third parties to facilitate a lot of what happens over there. And as we're growing, we want to make sure that we're controlling as much of the process as possible. So we have Roy Clark, who he's a guy that you guys have to bring on. He was a caddy on the tour for like 15 years, played college golf here in the States, grew up in Ireland. Him and Seamus Power grew up as best buddies, and Simon, the caddy. These guys together, it's hysterical. But he's been in and around. He knows every blade of grass, every golf course, every starter, every pro. More importantly, he knows every pub and bartender as well. He's the tip of our spear over there for All Access Ireland. And as we grow, we're going to continue that footprint growing. So I don't know what we're going to do with All Access Scotland yet. We got to figure out what we're going to do. With
sell merch. Just sell
action.
merch.
Bagpipe idea might.
Oh yeah.
Like a
That'd be
bagpipe
cool.
silhouette.
Oh yeah.
It'd be really cool. Yeah.
If we do
Listen, you want these ideas, just let me know, man.
Yeah, you're the first guy. I know you've already hit me up saying
talk about tip
you're
of the
large.
spear. Yeah, I'm a large.
Yeah.
He keeps posting all this merch. I'm like, I'm still a large, just so you know, right? I check FedEx every day.
Sounds like back to the comment section.
I am a loyal Grayson guy. You got to, Moose, you know that.
They make great stuff.
Loyal Grayson guy, and all the folks at Grayson, starting with Charlie Schaefer, are awesome. Having said that, we have a partnership that we've done with Holderness, And while I'm still a Grayson faithful guy, some of this Holderness stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, both great
Tremendous.
brands.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've said it before. If you're going to do a golf trip, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but All Access does it right. And if you want to be able to continue drinking on the 16th, or if you want to be able to find the best pub in Ireland, talk to Ryan Gano and his team at All Access.
Thank you, buddy. And the next one coming, the TPC 17th hole Island Green. We have player marquees right on top of the drop
in
zone.
4 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah. It's literally a month away. It's another one. It's a more sophisticated party than Pheonix, but it's still a pretty good party.
Yeah. All Access GTE.com.
Check it out. All right. We will be right back. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
No worries.
All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It on this jam-packed episode here. We talked a little bit about the craziness of the Waste Management, but let's talk about the actual golf tournament now. Nick Taylor in a playoff over Charlie Hoffman as it was starting to get dark. His 4th PGA Tour win, the 35-year-old rallies from 3 down with 4 holes left. Really exciting stuff. Harry Mays, I go to kind of recap this tournament and tell us what you thought about it.
Well, yeah, it was tremendous drama, and that golf course, with the way it's constructed on those final couple of holes, really lends to it, and it definitely delivered. Now, I was rooting personally for Charlie Hoffman to get a win. It's been a long time. He's one of my favorites, kind of grinder type guys, and I was looking forward to him getting a win. But man, I can't pass up what Nick Taylor did. Birding 15, and it's funny because that's the par 5 where it's reachable in 2. He laid up, and I remember, the broadcaster and rightly pointed out, like, he's going to get criticized for this if this doesn't go right. And he laid up and made birdie, and then birdie 16 in the Coliseum where everybody's going crazy. It was funny because nobody was really birdieing that hole early in the day, but as the better groups came, the later groups, there was it seemed like a birdie in every group. Well, Nick Taylor makes birdie there, and then you're thinking, wow, we got a golf tournament because he's got the drivable par 4, which maybe he can eagle. He could definitely make a birdie, right? If he doesn't hit it in the water. He doesn't. He comes up short on a 15-foot putt, makes par, goes to 18 and makes birdie there. And you're like, wow, we got a playoff. And I'm like, I don't even want to watch the Super Bowl. I didn't watch the Super Bowl for the entire first quarter, and I didn't miss anything. It's nothing, I think it was for that quarter. So I'm watching the golf, and they go to 18 again, and he makes birdie again. So does Charlie. They go back, and Charlie hits it in the church pews. And we talked about the church pews last week, and you just don't want to be there with all that. Yeah, exactly. It's Ash Wednesday too, with all that high grass. And he was like kind of in the bunker near the high grass. He hits a tremendous shot, puts it to 28 feet. And you're like, well, he's got a chance. Maybe Nick doesn't throw a dart here. He does. And I'm like, Charlie's got to make a 28-foot putt. He almost makes it. And then Nick Taylor just buries it for the win. All props to him, man. He's got stone. He's got to be on that. He's got to be on that international team in Canada for the President's Cup.
No doubt.
And we talk about putters a lot when these guys make great putts. The TaylorMade Spider Tour Red was in his bag. That's the.
And Adam Hadwin was nowhere to be around. It was way too wild.
I wanted a tackle. Right. I'm like, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Can I get another tackle? Can I see something? And I think the media actually asked him. They're like, Hadwin, you're not going to go out? He's like, done that once.
He stunk, by the way. He was 4 over in day 1 and was never a part of it. I had him on my fantasy team, that Adam Hadwin.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff. He won the RBC Canadian Open. He's a good player. He's one of those guys that kind of flies under the radar. Yep. I mean, maybe not as much now, but you always see him. You're like, oh, I like Nick Taylor this week, but he's not one of the marquee guys. But I think that's coming around. He seems to have a really good approach, a very calm way about him, and man, he could hit some putts. Because if our guy Scheffler could hit the putts like that, a ho-hum T3, right? The guy's always in the top 5, but just the putter is failing him a little bit right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he ran out of gas. Lady made the bogey on 14.
I thought he was coming.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was funny because you sent that text right when it started to turn for him. Maybe you mushed him. I don't know.
I think I did.
He made bogey on 14, and then the 15th, he's got to make birdie there. He makes a par, and then you knew he was done.
Yeah.
How about Sam Burns? He had a nice weekend too.
Yeah, T3 with Scheffler, Thigala with 5th place.
Yep.
Gordon and Mav,
T6 with Maverick McNeely. And then JT, man, JT with the T12. He's playing some good golf. He looks like he's got his stuff back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I kind of am looking ahead this week at JT, maybe
Ah.
at
Starting to
Riviera. I
feel
don't
like
know.
himself again.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, great stuff, great tournament. You know, a lot of fun, always is, to kind of check that out. And I'm looking forward to getting back there one day. There's no doubt about
100%.
it.
We have to. We'll go next year with the
Yeah, we'll go with Ryan. I'll heckle Billy.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So we talked about it briefly. Sun, day, red.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys? Is the car started? Are you headed to the merch shop to purchase some of this stuff?
Absolutely not. Let me just say, it's more than a shirt, it's a mindset. Like Tiger debuting the Sunday red. I at first too, I was the same thing, like being a journalism major. I'm like, wait, why is Sunday? And like, are
Yeah.
we talking about a sun, like sunshine? Like, what is this? You know, the new apparel brand with TaylorMade, it's has a couple different influences, but the Sunday red, I had to do some research and I'm like, where does this come from and like why? But he said it is the Sunday red. Tiger's like, it's me, but it's the rule of three. He's like, if you have 3 words or sentences of the same length, it can leave a greater impression. So I just think that it's strange, and that's why it's leaving an impression, and because it's Tiger Woods, so it's leaving an impression. But Woods said, for example, his goals while he was playing, and I guess still is, were work hard, think hard, play hard. So he tried to play that into it being the rule of 3. But let's talk about the logo, because we have the old school Schlesinger. And I know when the Grove came out with Black Cat, I'm like, what? This is the same thing as Schlesinger. And now we have another Schlesinger style, Grove style logo. It's a tiger with 15 stripes that kind of looks like bones.
Mhm.
And the stripes are one for each of his majors. And if he
Yeah.
happens to win another major, Tiger says, we're going to just have to redo the trademark and add another stripe to it. But what do you think about like the logo? Like I don't know. It kind of looks like a kid like drew something.
I'm actually coming around on it, believe it
Oh,
or
here we
not.
go.
Yes, and I knew that would catch you guys off guard a little bit because
Mm.
at first I hated it.
Harry
And I
loves
really
Tiger.
I
Harry
do.
loves
I
Tiger.
do love Tiger. But at first I didn't like it. And I think it was because I liked the other logo a lot, the TW, the stacked TW.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand. Nike apparently allowed him to take that with him, and he chose not to. He did it,
Adios.
a new logo with the 15 stripes and so forth. And I counted them up. I finally figured out where the 15 are. And, you can't include the nose because that's not really a stripe and all that stuff. But I actually am coming around on it, and I'm going to buy something, Moose.
All right, there
Really?
you go.
Yeah.
The
And
shoes
some
are
of the
actually
stuff
pretty
are
cool
more
looking.
Yeah.
some of the stuff are more subtle than others. Not all of them have the tiger with the bones. Some of it says like the Sunday red. There's a couple different options
What about
that you can
Sung
get.
J M?
Sun.
I mean, maybe he
Right?
goes, maybe he
Hey,
goes
the
with
power
that.
of 3, Harry. The
Right.
power of 3.
When I think about a logo, right? Think about when you were growing up, right? You would just draw the Nike swoosh on your notebook in
Yeah.
school,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like something simple that like you can just, I don't know, that's not it for sure.
No.
It's
No, that's
definitely
not.
more complex.
And we've seen them all in black. So I'm wondering, like, if we know it's red and black is his classic. Everybody associates that with Tiger. His mother's strong belief in lucky colors is why he said, like, the Sunday red. His mom saw red as a symbol of strength and dominance and perseverance. And that's why he went with that. But it's like, I'm with Moose. Moose is like, I will not be bringing, like, rushing to the pro shop or Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever this is going to be sold online and purchasing a bunch of merch. But I guess they're probably going to see how it's going to go with sales. We're going to start off with golf shirts, hoodies, outerwear, which will all be available online in the US and Canada starting May 1st. And then his plan is to expand to footwear along with women and kids apparel. But TaylorMade doesn't have any shoes. So I'm interested to see, because we saw him move from Nike to FootJoy because of his leg issues. So TaylorMade's going to have to pair up with somebody and make some comfy shoes if we're going to be seeing Tiger wear some Sunday red shoes. But speaking of him walking, did you guys see the video of him walking into the Genesis?
I watched it 40 times.
But I swear to God, I watched it 38 times.
Yeah.
It's like the people say women are crazy with
can't
like
get
Taylor
enough.
Swift or stuff. I'm like, what about us with Tiger? I kept rewatching it. I'm like, is he limping?
You got the
he has
leg
coffee?
sleeve.
Like,
Drinking
what's
the
going on?
coffee.
Like, I was analyzing him. I'm making assumptions, but then I see the swing video on the range of him like hit and drive or like 340 or something. I'm like, okay, all right, he's looking kind of good this week.
He's looking good. He is. He is. Well,
Yeah.
Danielle, let's stick with you. Do you have some tea to spill for us?
Oh, I sure do. So, Harry, you mentioned talking about 16. There was no birdies in the beginning of the day, and then seeing some more later on in the afternoon. PGA Tour now has a new feature. So, in the course stats section on PGAtour.com, you can now see where every player's shots compare with the rest of the field. So, if you pull that up, you can kind of see the dispersion. It's like Moose, Harry, Danielle, like that. You can see that. So, that's a pretty cool new feature on PGAtour.com. Moving into some lighter stuff, Jessica Korda welcomed baby boy Grayson on February 3rd. So maybe there's a Grayson deal coming out of that to play on her her little son's name. But maybe not. Maybe she just likes the name.
Yeah.
This was pretty cool. This last week, 19-year-old live golfer Caleb Surratt was unable to check into his Vegas hotel room because he's under the age of 21. So Tyrell Hatton had to be added to his reservation and help him secure his room because he wasn't old enough to get a room.
You're putting your card down for incidentals, though, kid. I'm not putting my card
down.
Right?
It's like, yeah. I think no matter what that kid's doing with incidentals, the two of them with that live money have
I think
covered.
they're good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we already talked about the, the Sunday red in Tigers, vision remains the same, which I don't really know how that plays into his apparel line, but I guess we'll see. And then you guys, we have to talk about it. I know Harry's going to want to talk about it too. We know Rory's been flip-flopping, changing his thoughts and changing his mind about the stance on live and since the beginning, like absolutely not. They can't come back. And now, yeah, maybe they should. But Ricky Fowler has spoken out and said live guys shouldn't be able to return without some sort of penalty. JT is backing him and saying that I would have a problem with that too. And I think a lot of guys would have a problem with it. So I would too, JT. I would too. But a lot coming out with that. There's a little bit more development in terms of the the equity. So we're still talking about that. And I heard on one of the podcasts I was listening to this week, someone's like, is this agreement enough to stop these top players from still going over to live? In my opinion, no. You got guaranteed money versus equity, right? Yeah. We've all invested in stocks. We all know what equity is. If you're going to give me guaranteed money, which I think a lot of these guys like, and we've seen them go over, I'm not sure that it's enough. It's definitely an improvement where they're evening the playing field a little bit, but yeah, it's interesting to see how this how this develops. And, we'll be following it obviously, but we all know for competitive golf and for the fans that we all want to see the top players all playing together. So we'll follow the development of this and seeing how these equity shares go. We do know there are now 4 tiers of equity shares, and players will be given chances and opportunities to earn more equity and increase their equity shares through maybe like appearances, doing clinics, things of that nature, where before they had to do that automatic. Now they'll get more equity. So we'll see how that develops, but interesting.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I think there should be a penalty too. I agree with Ricky and JT. I just don't know what it is and how you do it, but I think there should be some sort of penance that has to be
right. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You're going to go and take that guaranteed money, and then you get to come back and just slide right in. Right. And then everybody else who's been working or stayed loyal, it's like, no, if my employees leave for another company to take bigger cash and then they get to come back, my employees are going to have a problem with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I did watch live this weekend. Of course, it ended on Saturday. They didn't want to go up against, the Sunday golf, and they're in Vegas. But I watched it on Saturday because it was good. I mean, you had DJ, you had, Brooks, you had Bryson, you had Rahm all on TV at the same, I'm like, I'm in on this. Well, I watched it. DJ wins his 3rd. And according to him, he has a new mindset. So beware, when these guys play in the majors, he's going to be playing in Augusta. He's got a new mindset and is dedicating himself much more in practice and focus and everything compared to last year. So watch out. Maybe DJ
he enjoyed a couple of years of just spending that cash,
chilling, hanging out,
drinking champagne. We talked
Paulina
about it.
put out the cutest video of their 2 boys. It was incredible. It's kind of like how, if I'm not on site, how I'm watching Brandon play, and her boys are like watching, they're like, come on. They're like, drain it. And they're waiting. The ball falls in. They're in the car. The 2 kids are watching like on the phone. His boys are going nuts. So that was kind of cool to see.
That's awesome. We talked about it. We talked about the how it would do going up against Waste Management, and turns out Liv was 51st in ratings out of sports programs, slightly behind K-State basketball.
Jeez.
and the Waste Management was third. So,
Okay.
still struggling to pull in viewers, right? But
Yeah.
we're not live haters.
No,
Leave us alone. We
Wait,
just
are we sounding like Rory now?
yeah. But it is what it is, and we'll see how it continues to grow. Our
Yeah.
DraftKings contest, make sure you hop in. Still some spots remaining for this week. Check that out. And then also, speaking of contests, we gave away our trip to Casa de Campo for the early bird registration for our outing. Ben Kaiser, another Legacy Club member, another Ben. I don't know this Ben very well. I'm getting to know him now that I sent him the trip. He's very appreciative, but really
What a
good
trip
stuff.
to win.
Yeah, can't wait. And we're excited to get back out there for our outing. We're mapping everything out. We're hoping our friends from Stretch Zone are back out there. If you guys remember, I mean, that was a hit at our golf outing. I mean, there was a line for the Stretch Zone.
I had to wait in line before. I'm like, okay, so I'll hit balls first because the line was, and then I was like, all right, we're fighting over it. We want to get stretched out, warmed up, feeling good, gives you that extra confidence going into the round.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have to be out there again this year.
Stretch Zone's tremendous. They have locations all over, and they were, we were happy to have them join our outing, and I think it made a really good addition for it. I even think the Legacy Club used them for the member guest after that because it was such a big hit. Yeah.
Such a great addition.
Well, you talked about the DraftKings contest. We got to congratulate C. Wayner 17 took home the big prize, and JFC Jedi, that's John Carroll at the 1912 Club, came in second. So I was one slot out of DFL. I had 3 or 4 of my guys miss the cut. Awful week.
Moose, what'd you get? Are you coming fifth?
I think it was a little bit lower, maybe 5th or 6th, something like that. Yeah. Thigala when Thigala fell off a little bit, that's what cost me.
That killed you.
Yeah. But it was good to see someone that had Nick Taylor. Someone actually had the winner this week, which hasn't been happening, which was pretty cool.
But that long shot streak continues now on the PGA Tour. I mean, Nick Taylor was like 100 to 1 to 175 to 1 on some books. So it's crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. We look ahead now for the Genesis Invitational, one of my favorite tournaments. Harry, I know you love watching this golf course.
Yeah,
of course.
Signature event. You start with the 70 golfers, a $4 million purse. Tiger playing for the first time since the Masters, and a lot going on. A lot of the top players: Scheffler, Rory, Hovland, Cantlay, Homa, right, all playing in this event. You had Rahm that won it last year. Neiman won it the year before. Homa won it in 21. Adam Scott in 2020. But Harry, let's talk about the course, of course, when we go to Riviera Country Club.
Yeah, you mentioned it. One of your favorites. This is my favorite golf tournament on the PGA Tour schedule that is not a major, and I consider the Players really basically a major. But this is the one, and it's because of the golf course. It's Hogan's Alley, one of 3 Hogan's Alleys around the world. He won 2 LA Opens there, and he won the 1948 U.S. Open there. Get ready for another word to add to your vernacular, kikuya. You're going to hear it about 1 million times this week.
Bless you.
For the type of grass that is, exactly. It's the fairways and the greens, all kikuya grass, kikuya rough. It opened back in 1926 as the Los Angeles Athletic Club. Of course, George C. Thomas is the designer, and he designed a great local course here, White Marsh Valley Country Club, and is actually did Bel Air. He did Los Angeles Country Club, one of their courses. Home to many Hollywood celebs. It's iconic. When you speak about iconic golf, Riviera is it. Starts out with an easy par 5 for these guys, and probably even for us. Elevated tee. It's kind of short. Then you turn around, come back towards the clubhouse, and it smacks you right in the face with the hardest hole in the front 9. The second hole is a really difficult one. I'm going to then you take, turn to left and you start going down towards the ocean with a soft dog leg par 4 third hole. The fourth hole is an incredible par 3 that favors a draw. You can kind of bounce it in there from the left. The green tilts big right to left. Then you get to the par 4 fourth with the bluff coming out. It kind of obstructs the view of the green. And you take a left and you're at the bottom of the property. And the par 3 6th hole is one of the coolest holes you ever see. It's got a pot bunker right in the middle of the green. It's absolutely cool. Take a left. You start coming back up north, back with the wind typically. 2 great par 4s with a barranca that splits the fairways on 8. And then you take a left, come up the hill back towards the clubhouse on the par 4 9th. Then one of the most iconic holes in golf is the 10th, the drivable par 4 10th hole with the huge bunkers that sort of it's a kind of a messes with your eyes because it's way in front of the green, but it kind of looks like it's near the green. This tiniest green you'll ever see. They're super narrow, super hard to hold. Makes for a great par 4, and it's drivable. Then you take a left for the par 5, the 11th hole. You hit the meat of the golf course, which is 12 and 13. You got Bogey's Tree back there. 14, par 3. 15 is a great dog leg left to right, par 4. 16, you got the Harry Potter trees in the off season. the sycamore, California sycamore trees look like something out of a Harry Potter movie. 17, you come back up towards the clubhouse with a long straight par 5, and then the iconic 18th hole with the blind tee shot, the sloping fairway from left to right. You're going to have a crooked lie for that approach into an amphitheater green that has no bunkers on it, but always provides a tremendous finish. Iconic is the word for Riviera and this golf tournament. Looking forward to it.
Love it. Love it. So I'll give you some of our buddy Jeff Ulrich nuggets that I like to give out each week. 11
he's
of
a
the
great
13.
follow, too.
He's
Thanks
awesome
for that.
follow.
Yeah, he
He
is.
really is. And we'll have to have him back on soon. He kills it. 11 of the 13 winners have played. 8 have played Pebble. 3 have played in the Waste Management. 8 of the 10 have had a top 15 here at this course at Riviera. Only 2 of the last 12 winners missed a cut in their final start before this, and 7 of 10 winners had a T15 or better in one of their 2 previous starts. So it's definitely, we know you have to hit the greens here. They're a little bit tough to hit. Sometimes driving distance matters here, but not necessarily. It's more about hitting
Ball
those
striking.
greens,
Yep.
ball striking.
Yep.
So let's move over to see the line with our friends at DraftKings. And I'll talk about our friends from DraftKings real quick, although
right.
I need to get some updated copy because this still says Super Bowl. So I will kind of wing this here
You got
because, from tee to green, the best place to go is DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure you check out all the offers with bonus bets. And if you download this DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code DING, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, They were an official sports betting partner of the PGA, of the Super Bowl 50. We know they're affiliated with the PGA Tour. Make sure you use code DING. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 160 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. So,
Great job.
Thank you. Some interesting plays here. I like the top of the board, obviously, for this tournament, but the long shots have been winning, so that's something to keep in mind. This is a signature event, smaller field. I do like JT. I mentioned him, right, at that 1,600 number. Finau, who lost in a playoff here in 21, multiple runner-ups at 3,000. Morikawa, like him out here, 2 top 6s at 1,800. How about Cam Young? He has a T8 last week at 3,500. Kitayama also had a T8 last week at 6,500, and Grayson Murray, you can get him in a top 10 for a 180 to 1. He's way down the bottom of the board, down with Tiger, who's 130 to 1, but he's down there. So interesting one here. Also, I like Nikolai Højgaard at 4,500. I think he could play well here.
Good stuff. I'm going with all iron players too. Good ball strikers. Tom Hoge in a top 30 at plus 125. He was 14th here last year. He's starting to play well again. Good ball striker. Sam Burns, I'm high on him from last week. He's minus 120 in a top 20. I will take a look at that as well as him to win. Adam Scott always plays well here. If you're doing a DFS lineup, he's got to be a part of it. He's plus 105 in a top 20, former winner here. Cam Young, you mentioned Boost. I like that. Top 20, he's plus money at plus 115. And you mentioned Morikawa as well with the 2 top 6s. He's plus 170 in a top 10. I like Finau over Tigala in a matchup. Hovland, who's played well here. Hasn't really played well thus far this year, but I think this week he starts making a run. I'll take him over Cantlay in a matchup at -120. And JT -110 over Schauffele. Schauffele injured his wrist and had to withdraw from the Waste Management last week. So I don't know what he's going to look like, but I like what I'm seeing out of JT.
2 JT fans this week.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to hit the Corn Ferry Tour because they had some big happenings last week in South America. Of course, they go down to Colombia.
Yep.
And this made big news, and rightly so. Cristobal del Solar shot 57 in one of the first 2 rounds. I forget if it was Thursday or Friday, but he's been a PGA Tour Latino America veteran. He was on the tour in Canada for a while. He's bounced around out of Florida State. Shot 57. Now, I have to qualify this. It's a 57. But it's a 6,200-yard golf course playing at 8,000 plus feet above sea level. So these guys just tore it apart.
I have to add some context to this, Harry, because I looped
you were there,
on this
right?
course.
Yeah.
I looped. Well, I got him to make the cut, and then I got fired because he made the cut. And he goes, one of the other guys has a little more experience. Let me take him. I'm like, okay. But I need to let you know that I also, one of the playing guys that we were with, he's like, you make this putt, like, I'll buy dinner or do whatever it was. I sunk like a 50-footer. So he doesn't get a skin there. I'm not impressed. And also, what did he shoot on? What was it, Saturday or Sunday? I think he finished, he shoots a 57 and then like 2 days later shoots like because there's 2 courses they play.
Right.
The short course and the long course. But yeah, you're not taking away from it.
No,
I'm just making the facts. And it's at elevation.
Right. Yeah. It's 8,660 feet above sea level. It was lift clean in place, and it's a 6,200-yard golf course. So we just have to qualify. Still a 57. Exactly. He ended up finishing 5th overall in the tournament. And this other guy, you mentioned him a couple weeks ago, Aldrich Potgieter, is tearing it up on the KFT. He shot 59, I believe, on that same golf course a day later. And he ended up finishing, I think, 20th, T20. Kevin Velo came away with the win at 22 under par in a playoff. So,
great stuff.
Cristobal shot 75 on round 3.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. But he finished with an eagle on 18 again. So
wow.
Yeah. 57, 75. Golf.
Unbelievable.
Literally.
Unbelievable.
4-letter words.
Yep.
Great stuff, guys. Thanks to Ken Phillips for joining us. Thanks to Ryan Gano for joining us. Thank you guys for all the insights you brought today. Great show. And we will be back next week to see if Tiger Woods won the Genesis. See you then.